If you're running a small business, finding the right CRM is probably the highest ROI decision you can make this year. Because when you get it right, it doesn't just organize your leads, it automates your follow-ups, tracks every sale, and keeps your entire business running without you. The problem is, there are so many CRMs out there promising the same thing, but most of them either cost too much or just underperform. That's why after working with over 7,000 small businesses and managing hundreds of active clients every single month, I decided to put the top platforms head to head to finally figure out which one actually delivers the best results. And in this video, I'll show you exactly how they all stack up against each other and reveal the number one CRM I personally use and recommend to every small business owner I work with. We're going to be ranking all of these CRMs across 4 main categories. The first one is ease of use. Basically, how simple it is to get started with the tool and how smooth it feels to work with. Then we've got growth potential, because there's no point in using a super easy CRM if you're just going to hit a wall later and have to switch to something else once your business starts scaling. The third one is features. What kind of useful tools and automations each CRM actually gives you and how much of it really helps you in practice. And finally, pricing, how fair the pricing is, how much value you're actually getting for what you pay, and whether or not it's even worth the cost. So with all that being said, let's jump right into the first tool in today's lineup. Number 1, Salesforce. Now, Salesforce is a CRM that's been around for a very long time. I like to think about it as more of an enterprise CRM or customer success platform. When it comes to ease of use, it's not terrible, but it's definitely not the most beginner-friendly option either. It does have some guided setup options for small businesses, which helps a bit, but once you start scaling, things get complicated fast. The learning curve is steep, and in a lot of cases, you'll probably end up needing a consultant or at least someone who really knows how Salesforce works to help you customize it properly. That said, the UI is pretty clean, and they do have some learning resources available, so it's manageable enough to get started, but if you want to truly fit it to your process, you will start to feel just how complex the system really is, given how many choices and features they offer. Now, when it comes to growth potential, Salesforce really shines here. It can scale infinitely with huge teams, global operations, crazy levels of customization. It can handle all of it. But of course, all that scalability comes at a price, and we'll get into that in a second. In terms of features, it's packed. You get all the core CRM tools like leads and account management, contact tracking, and pipeline visibility, but also tons of automation options, custom objects, predictive AI, generative tools, and access to the massive app exchange system. So feature-wise, it's definitely one of the most powerful CRMs on the market. But here's the problem: pricing. First, it starts pretty low, around $25 a month for their very basic plan, but the deeper you go, the more expensive it gets. As you add more features like email, text messages, websites, integrations, and more users, you can easily be looking at over $1,000 a month. So yes, it has insane growth potential, but that comes with a pretty steep price tag and a level of complexity that can honestly slow you down in most cases. Overall, I'd say Salesforce is again one of those CRMs that's made for a very specific type of user. But for most businesses, there are just better, simpler, and more efficient options out there. Which brings me to a much easier CRM that a lot of people use, which is number 2, Monday. It's very visual, has some really nice templates, and all the automations are quick to connect. Everything just feels plug and play, which is great when you're getting started. But the problem with that simplicity really starts to show once you try to scale, which brings us to the next category: growth. A lot of people online, and even people I personally know who've worked with Monday, all say that because it's built around ease of use, Monday tends to break down as you get bigger. The structure that feels so nice when you start ends up becoming complicated fast, and suddenly it's not that easy anymore. When it comes to features, it offers a decent lineup, including automation templates, pipelines, contact and deal management, and even invoice tracking. It's very focused on efficiency and usability, which is nice. It also integrates with a lot of other tools, so you can connect it to your existing setup pretty easily. Now, on to pricing. It actually starts off pretty affordable, around $9 a month, but you need a minimum of 3 seats. And of course, the more seats you add, the more expensive it gets. So if you're managing a large team or many clients who need access to the software, it can start to seem quite expensive for what it actually offers. Overall, I'd say Monday is great if you're just starting and you want something simple, clean, and easy to understand. It's one of those tools that looks amazing at first, but as soon as your business starts to grow, you'll probably end up needing to switch to something stronger. Now, the next CRM is number 3, Zoho, which my marketing agency used for 2 years, but eventually switched. And I'll show you the exact one we switched to in just a bit. Zoho is pretty similar to Salesforce, but in my opinion, it's just a little better. When it comes to ease of use for the core stuff, like managing leads, contacts, and deals, it's actually pretty intuitive. The interface is clean and you can customize it a lot. You can drag and drop sections, hide or show fields, and use different templates to make it fit exactly how you want to work. Now, because Zoho is so modular, that flexibility can be a bad thing too. In my experience, the UI sometimes felt a bit cluttered because there's so much going on. It's not complicated in a bad way, but it definitely takes a bit of time to get used to everything. When it comes to growth, Zoho actually performs really well. Its modular setup means it can adapt to different use cases and scale with your business easily. Whether you're a solo entrepreneur or running a big team, it kind of molds to what you need. That said, once you start dealing with more apps and data, it can start to feel unorganized. Instead of handling everything in a single account, you have to switch between their different modules and apps, which doesn't quite feel like an all-in-one solution. As for pricing, most small businesses are going to want to get Zoho One, which includes all their app modules. The price is $45 per seat, which didn't feel expensive at first, but as my agency scaled, our bill came to over $21,000 per year. Overall, I'd say Zoho is a solid option. It's customizable, it's powerful, and to me, it's kind of like a more accessible version of Salesforce. But at the same time, the pricing and complexity can trip some people up. It definitely did that for me, which is why I eventually switched. So while I think it's a great fit for certain types of users, I know many others will probably want something a bit simpler and more affordable to manage long term. Before I reveal the tool I switched to over Zoho, let's talk about number 4, HubSpot, because it's one of the biggest platforms out there when it comes to CRMs. And because it's such a huge platform, it's not quite as easy to get started with as some of the other tools we've already covered. It has a lot going on, and honestly, that can be a problem for a lot of users, especially when you combine that complexity with the pricing system, which we'll talk about in just a second. You kind of have to dig around to find where everything is, which makes the setup process a little harder than it should be. But when it comes to growth, HubSpot is really solid. As you'd expect from a tool this big, you've got everything: advanced automation, custom objects, predictive lead scoring, detailed reporting, AI agents, APIs, ticketing systems, permissions, roles, literally everything you'd ever need from a CRM. It's a massive ecosystem. But of course, that leads us straight into the pricing, which is where things start to fall apart a bit. There is a free tier, but it's extremely limited. Their starter plan begins around $15 a month, which still doesn't give you access to most of the features that make HubSpot worth using. To really unlock everything, you'll have to upgrade to their higher tier plans, and those can go all the way up to $5,000 a month. So yeah, it's definitely not cheap. Overall, HubSpot is powerful, there's no doubt about that, but it's also complicated and expensive. And for most people, the pricing and complexity just outweighs the benefits. But there is a tool out there that won't overwhelm you with tons of complicated UI and features that you have to dig for or charge you thousands just because you want it to scale. And that tool is number 5, Go High Level. Now, what exactly is Go High Level? Go High Level is basically an all-in-one CRM, marketing automation system, funnel builder, and communication platform. It's built primarily for businesses, agencies, creators, and SaaS sellers. The biggest thing I personally love about Go High Level is, first of all, you can white label the entire platform and resell it as your own. That's a huge deal. You can literally brand it, price it however you want, and build your own software business on top of it. And second, even though it's built around that agency first idea, it still works incredibly well as a CRM for solo businesses or creators. When it comes to ease of use, the dashboard can look a little bit busy at first glance, but once you figure out where everything is, it just makes sense. It's super logical. I also love how centralized everything feels. You've got SMS, email, calls, forms, reviews, funnels, calendars, all in one place. The mobile app mirrors the desktop version really well, so you can manage pipelines, send messages, and do pretty much anything right from your phone. There's also a workflow builder that's really intuitive, and honestly, it can replace a bunch of tools like Zapier completely. Now, when it comes to growth, this is where Go High Level really shines. Like I mentioned before, you can white label it, which alone is massive, and you can set your own pricing, manage your clients, and scale infinitely. And the cool thing is, unlike a lot of other tools that technically scale but start to fall apart when you grow, this one doesn't. It handles scale really smoothly. Now, feature-wise, there's honestly way too much to cover here in detail. I actually have another video that goes much deeper into everything Go High Level can do, which you can check out next. But to quickly go through some of the main ones, you've got pipelines, deals, full workflow builders, complete funnel and website creation, webinar funnels, forms, surveys, and all of it connects to built-in email and SMS campaigns. There's even an AI layer that can handle things like DMs and lead conversations automatically. And on top of all that, there's a massive app library full of integrations to expand it even more. Now, let's talk about pricing, because this is where Go High Level completely crushes all the other CRM. There are no user limits and no contact limits, which is crazy. So yeah, at this point, you can probably see why I think Go High Level just beats out everything else we've talked about today. If you're a small business or a solo creator who just wants to get started, the starter plan already gives you access to pretty much the entire tool. You can start building funnels, running automations, managing leads, and doing everything from one dashboard without paying for for a dozen different tools. And if you're running an agency or you plan to scale up, this thing honestly has no limits. You're basically getting an all-in-one system that grows with you instead of against you. The starter plan begins at just $97 a month, and that gives you 3 sub-accounts, which you can use for your own business or even for client accounts. Then there's the unlimited agency plan, which gives you unlimited sub-accounts for $297 per month, where you can build and manage all your client systems. And finally, the software pro plan, which is where you unlock full white labeling. That's where you can actually rebrand it as your own platform. It comes in at around $497 a month, which is honestly insanely low for what it offers. As an agency owner with over 300 clients and thus over 300 sub-accounts, it's a steal. I'm paying less than $2 per client, which is just unbelievable. There's no per contact or per seat. You basically get access to the full platform, and even the lowest plan gives you about 90% of everything. So yeah, at this point, you can probably see why I think Go High Level just beats out everything else we've talked about today. If you're a small business or a solo creator who just wants to get started, the starter plan already gives you access to pretty much the entire tool. You can start building funnels, running automations, managing leads, and doing everything from one dashboard without paying for a dozen different tools. And if you're running an agency or you plan to scale up, this thing honestly has no limits. You're basically getting an all-in-one system that grows with you instead of against you. And the best part, you don't even have to commit to anything right now, because Go High Level doesn't force you to buy with a fake free plan. You can actually try Go High Level completely free for an entire month if you use my link down in the description below. And if you don't want to figure everything out by yourself, I've also made a full Go High Level tutorial that'll walk you through exactly how to set everything up the right way from the start. So if you want to finally get serious about your business and start using the best CRM for small businesses, go sign up to Go High Level using my link down in the description below. I'll see you guys in the next one.